Good morning. On behalf of the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Columbus, welcome to our Sunday service. I'm Bob Rice, a longtime member of this congregation, and my pronouns are he, him. Let us begin our time together by remembering the land that holds us. Let us give thanks as we gather in the homeland of the Adena, the Hopewell, the Wyandotte, the Miami, the Seneca, and the Cayuga peoples. Let us take a few moments of silence to honor their connection to the land we call Central Ohio. Today we will continue to explore our monthly theme of awakening and celebrate Earth Day with our annual flower ceremony. Please rise as you are willing and able to sing number 21 in the gray hymnal, For the Beauty of the Earth. The words will appear also on the screen. If you brought flowers to contribute, I invite you to come forward and add their beauty to our common vases while we sing together. Our Director of Music and Director of the Chalice Choir, Dr. Brandon Moss, will lead us in song as we welcome this day.
Beauty of the earth, for the splendor of the skies, for the love which from our birth over and around us lies. Source of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the joy of for the heart and mind's delight, for the mystic harmony, linking sense to sound and sight. Source of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the wonder of each hour, of the day and of the night. Hill and vale and tree and flower, sun and moon and stars of light. Source of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise.
Good morning. I'm Amber Scott, your Director of Religious Exploration, and my pronouns are she, they. It is so wonderful to be together here. Please let us know who is in the house today by filling out our check-in form online or at the greeters stand after the service. This is just one way that we try to stay connected within our congregation. You can sign in, peruse today's order of service, submit joys and sorrows, and access our donation page all by scanning the QR code or visiting firstucolumbus.org/Sunday. Even these simple church functions have gone hybrid, as we realize not everyone has access to a smartphone, and others just like to save paper. Thank you for being here. Our annual stewardship drive is now in its third week, and we're about a third of the way to our goal. Woohoo! Huge thanks to everyone who has already turned in your pledge forms. Bravo. And thank you in advance to everyone who plans to turn theirs in this week. Just as it takes many flowers to make a bouquet, it takes all of us to make this vibrant community possible. Thank you. I would now like to invite our children, who would like to participate in bringing in the light and to help light our chalice this morning, to meet Andy in the back of the sanctuary. You can see Andy's over there waving hand. You're going to go out into the welcome hall to prepare, and then our young people will return in just a few moments. Finally, let us center ourselves as we listen to this morning's prelude.
Our chalice lighters have come early. This is good. They have just brought in the light like they used to do. Anybody remember this? Yay! We are returning to normal, and I'll put that in quotes. I'm Reverend Dr. Marion Stewart. It's my pleasure to serve this congregation as your senior minister. If you are online, I invite you to bring your candle or chalice closer so we can light our chalice together. Our chalice lighting words this morning, as we celebrate this wonderful day on earth, this Earth Day, let us go with the wisdom of Clarissa Pinkola Estes, author of Women Who Run with the Wolves. She wrote, "Go out into the woods, go out. If you don't go out in the woods, nothing will ever happen, and your life will never begin." Thank you, Kyla. Our chalice is lit. And now we have a special moment of inspiration. A stewardship speaker, Ron Payne. I invite you to come forward.
Good morning. I'm Ron Payne. My pronouns are he and him. Jane and I began attending here a couple of years ago after we met Jeff Gamble when he and I were doing a brief presentation at the UU Fellowship in Reynoldsburg. What we found here at First UU was a breath of fresh air. A delightful community of folks with hopes and longings like ours, and with values that we cherish. October will mark our second anniversary of membership. We've found the best way to make our pledge current is through monthly withdrawal automatically from our checking account. So, thank you, Reverend Marion, and thank you, Kelly, for inviting me to give my perspective today. I'm aware that this means that you trust me, and I know from experience that stewardship budget time is something that you and the staff take quite seriously. Truth is that as a United Methodist pastor for nearly 5 decades, I always hated this season on the church's calendar. Advent, Christmas, Epiphany, Lent, Easter were all great seasons. But then arrived Pentecost or Kingdom Tide, whatever you wanted to call it, and that season droned on and on. And finally, because the congregations I served had a calendar fiscal year, along would come stewardship budget time. It was not a time I anticipated eagerly. I'd have to encourage people to give more when they know full well that what a part of what I was up to was like begging for support of my family. There was one year, though, when the stewardship budget campaign was pleasant. As if the church at that time was not already having identity problems, trying to appear distinct from secular society, that year the board decided to imitate a corporation and base raises on productivity. I addressed that situation like anyone with an MBA, though I had none. I didn't receive the class of new members I'd been nurturing that fall until the next fiscal year, when the backlog of productivity made for an impressive raise and change in the budget. That budget strategy was not repeated. But to the point of this stewardship moment, how do you know when you're giving enough? Well, the answer can be found in listening to your personal trainer. When she tells you you've exercised enough, stop when you begin to experience pain. Now, we're not into pain here, self-flagellation, but you do get the point. When you seriously commit to a pledge that equals the satisfaction you receive from participation in the uniqueness and values and people that surround you here at First UU, and consider the good work that we do, then you're at peak performance. Now, if you haven't made your commitment yet, please know that as you do, you are helping make this world a bit better, right here, right now. And if you made your commitment, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. It's always nice to have another minister in the pulpit.
All right. So, as you may have noticed, things got a little out of order there. We didn't mean to talk about stewardship at our young people necessarily, but you know, we're all still learning how to be a church again. It's okay. It's okay. But now the moment you've been waiting for, story time. After our story today, our children and youth will have the opportunity to join their peers in the classroom wing for crafts and other activities as part of our spring festival. Later, we will return near the end of the service to help pass out flowers as part of our flower ceremony. Then, after the service ends, people of all ages are invited to join in the fun, throwing color outside on the playground, or simply to come watch the spectacle. I can promise you that it will be tons of rainbow-colored fun and a delightful mess. All are welcome. Our story today is called Planting a Rainbow, written and illustrated by Lois Ellert. Every year, Mom and I plant a rainbow. In the fall, we buy some bulbs and plant them in the ground. Red tulip, orange tiger lily, yellow daffodil, blue hyacinth, and purple crocus. We order seeds from catalogs and wait all winter long for spring to warm the soil and sprout the bulbs. Then we go to the garden center to select some seedlings. We sow the seeds and set out the plants in soil and watch the rainbow grow and grow and grow. We have some red flowers and orange flowers and some yellow blooms. We grow something green and some blue flowers and some purple flowers too. All summer long, we pick them and bring them home. And when summer is over, we know we can grow our rainbow again next year. The end. In this story, family members work together to nurture the unique beauty of every plant and flower in their garden. Let us strive to notice the seeds of potential within ourselves and work together to help our community bloom. I now invite the congregation to remain seated so that our children can find their families and to form a sheltering arc of love with our arms as we sing our young people out to class. Our children will return later in the service to help pass out the flowers.
Good morning. Ooh, I like getting a response. It's so nice. I'm Amanda Hayes, your Justice Coordinator, and my pronouns are she, her. To participate in today's caring meditation or to request pastoral or practical support with a difficulty in your life, please fill out our Joys and Sorrows form. You can scan our QR code or visit firstucolumbus.org/Sunday, or fill out a Joys and Sorrows card here in person at the table with the candles in the back. Each week you are invited to submit the form or fill out a card before or during the service. If you haven't already, I invite you to submit or write yours now. If we receive your joy or sorrow in the next few minutes, we'll read it aloud during our caring meditation time in the service. The online form is available throughout the week, and you're invited to use it to request pastoral care, name joys and sorrows for the next Sunday, and to request caring cards anytime. As a community, we share our joys and sorrows and offer support to lift each other up and honor each other in all of our hearts.
Our centering words are a responsive reading, The Wisdom to Survive, by Wendell Berry. I will lead and invite you to respond with Amanda in an alternating fashion. The wisdom to survive. If we have the wisdom to survive, to stand like slow-growing trees on a ruined place.
Renewing it. I think we need the slide changed. Thank you. Renewing it, enriching it.
If we will make our seasons welcome here, asking not too much of heaven or earth.
Then a long time after we are dead, the lives our lives prepare will live here.
Their houses strongly placed upon the valley sides.
Fields and gardens rich in the windows. The river will run clear as we will never know it.
And over it, bird song like a canopy.
On the levels of the hills will be green meadows, stock bells in noon shade.
On the steeps where greed and ignorance cut down the old forest.
An old forest will stand, its rich leaf ball drifting on its roots.
The veins of forgotten springs will have opened. Families will be singing in the fields.
In their voices, they will hear a music risen out of the ground.
They will take nothing from the ground they will not return, whatever the grief at parting.
Memory, native to this valley, will spread over it like a grove, and memory will grow into legend, legend into song, song into sacrament.
The abundance of this place, the songs of its people and its birds, will be health and wisdom and indwelling light.
This is no paradisal dream. Its hardship is its possibility.
Thank you, choir. The flowers are beautiful, as is your music. Thank you. Our reading this morning is from yet another new favorite book, Church of the Wild, How Nature Invites Us into the Sacred, by Victoria Lawrence. In the prologue, she writes, "This is a story about a land where the trees talk and the waters croon and the people fall in love with birds who love them back. This is a story about an enchanted forest, hiding in plain sight, invisible until somehow the veil drops, and what was unseen can suddenly be seen. You may catch a glimpse when you cross the threshold of the far edge of the abandoned field, or when just in a blinking instant, you notice how the brambles of the blackberry bush connect you to everything." The ancestors knew this and reminded one another about their fires, that they belong to great web of life. They were called into the wilderness by a voice that spoke words planted silently in their hearts by the voices of the cedar trees, the lilies, the desert lands. Sacred voices tucked into the pockets of the wind. Some of these ancestors were called out of Egypt, out of oppressive systems that didn't acknowledge their lives as valuable. Called into the wilderness to listen, to prepare, to be tested and encouraged and strengthened. There were the wild creatures of the night, the fiery bushes and the cool streams, and the manna that fell from the sky that reminded the people of their true identity.
Once upon a time, all humans knew their lives, their food, their survival, their sense of meaning and kinship with God or the gods was connected with all their relations, the hawks and soil and ferns and mosquitoes. Like all the other wild creatures, they belonged to the land, and they knew it. They were untamed and self-willed and listened to their own intrinsic authority. They were part of a grand conversation, a relationship of reciprocity and respect, connecting them with all the other beings and elements of life. But there came a time when some of the people could no longer hear the conversation. An elixir fell over the poppy fields like Dorothy entering Oz, causing them to fall asleep. The wax in their ears became hardened, and their hearts pretended that they were happier controlling the world than loving it. They rushed right past the burning bushes on their way to importance, missing the message of the doe hiding in plain sight with her newborn fawn. They packed the bodies of sacred forest cathedrals onto trucks and shipped them to mills. They forgot that the thrush songs spelled out warnings and wisdom in octaves. Disconnected little by little, their voices went missing in the symphony of aliveness. The songs of the wild God cascading through the trees no longer guided their lives. And a deep loneliness sunk down on the people like a heavy fog that nobody could see.
The time has come to lift that veil of fog and return to intimate relationship with the living world. More and more of us are taking our place, once again, as full participants in the web of life, which we remember is held together by love. There are no magic words to incant, no spiritual laws to memorize, no ruby-slippered hills to click 3 times. You may simply need to learn how to listen and allow your heart to be broken, just like you do every time when you fall in love. Because the holy is in this place too. Have you ever experienced one of those moments when the whole world just opens up around you and all at once you are aware of it and immersed in it all at the same time? Have you ever had one of those experiences where you just were a part of it? I see some heads nodding. It's happened to me a few times. Yesterday, when I sat outside, I closed my eyes and just let the warm sun just bake my body and the breeze blow through my hair. It was wonderful. Did anybody else do that? And the birds were just singing, and suddenly, all was right in that part of the world. Yeah, I hope we get many more days like that. This afternoon could be one. Another time when I felt like I was totally immersed in just what was, I felt profoundly connected with nature following a light morning rain. I was sitting in my chair with an open window, and the birds were just singing outside, and you could just hear the last bits of rain dripping. I was transfixed and transported, and I transcended that moment into a magical connection. And once again, on a fog-shrouded evening when I walked out onto a long wooden pier into the silence of the night, with only the sound of a fish flopping back into the water somewhere nearby, I could hear but not see. I was aware of all that was. I was aware that I was there, and I was also aware that it didn't matter because the connection was whole. It was complete. In January, when I arrived at the ministers' meeting a little bit early in San Diego, I pulled out this book. I brought it with me and thought, this will be good, a good break. So I started reading this book. And the author wrote about one of her early childhood experiences. She used to take afternoon excursions not far from her home, and she discovered a small clearing that had a hidden entrance just off of a deer trail. It overlooked a campground that she couldn't see, but she could hear the voices as they wafted up and amplified off the canyon walls. Mostly interested in the lizards and the spiders that occupied the clearing, the author realized that a scrub jaybird chirping in the background had become a sacred other. She arranged a gathering of sticks into a pattern and sat in the middle, creating a ritual place to sit, to listen, and to watch. She was enchanted. Now, I had just read the author's experience when I set out in the evening to explore the conference hotel's grounds. These grounds were park-like as they sat just off of the bay. It was wonderful, a bay that led into the broad, wide, vast Pacific Ocean. I wandered about with a sense of wonder and curiosity. Then I noticed a break in the hedge on my path, just as the author had noticed off the deer trail. I ducked down to peek inside through this break in the hedge. I entered into a fairyland. Twinkling lights draped from a grove of banyan trees. It was magic. I felt it in my bones. Alone under the outstretched limbs of the banyans, I was connected in spirit with the ancestors whispering through the breeze and the lush green of the present moment. Now, you might think all this is airy-fairy and kind of new agey connection with nature, but let me go back in history with you for a moment. It seems that there was a Greek philosopher from the 5th century BCE. That's a very long time ago. He used the word logos to articulate the kind of intelligent life force embedded in and interconnecting all things. Heraclitus was an inexpressible and fiercely independent soul. I think today we might know a few of those, but he came up with the idea that all things are one. This is 5th century BCE. All things are one. That was radical. I believe he might have also known that grove of banyan trees. It has been said that as an intellectual and scientific development, that this naming and discovery of what is called a unitary nature was revolutionary as the Hebrews' monotheism was in the history of ancient religions. Wow. That's quite a statement. The unitary nature of all being. It was this philosopher's insight that marked the invention of the word universe, the conception of an indwelling unity behind the diversity of all existing things. His term logos conceptualized the way that the world functions as one collective, which he called cosmos, K-O-S-M-O-S. The Greeks would later use the word logos to mean a process of dialogue between. Philosophical systems around the world had similar concepts. The Stoics referred to logos as the organizing, integrating, and energizing principle of the whole universe, working through all matter, including humans. In Chinese, Logos is translated as Tao, or the way, the principle underlying the structures of the universe. And in Mandarin, it is Dao, a spiritual principle of flow of the universe, deeply intertwined with ecological reality. That's quite a history for this idea of being a part of and in and absorbed in nature. You might be interested to know that biologists are also now finding a system of connection in ways that the trees talk with one another. Did you ever know that trees talk with one another? They do. Scientists have also found this concept in the center of molecules, and what scientists say is not things, but relationships. At the core of it all, it's relationship. In other words, the ancient concept of logos, as well as modern science, invites us into reverence and conversation. On this Earth Day, I wonder how we find ourselves in relationship, in conversation, not just with each other, but with nature. The United Nations has issued yet another screaming last chance red alert for the future of the planet. Anybody aware of that one going out a few weeks ago, about the time the war started? Yep, it didn't make the headlines because of the war, but nature is in peril right now. We see the constant rise of climate-related disasters across our country, and we see the decimation of old-growth forest and the extinction of species. Now, we can do personal and local things to limit the destructive impact, but at this point, it will take huge political and cultural change to limit even some of the worst impacts. And because we are in an interconnected system, a logos, if you will, the big change is also personal and local. Beyond voting and running for office, if you're so inclined, we need to look out for our relationship with nature. Is nature like what the scientists thought it was at the center of the molecule? Is it not a thing or an it? Is it instead a logos, an organizing, integrating, energizing principle that is also a spiritual principle of flow? Can nature really be more than other? Can we learn to be in conversation? The trees already are. The birds already are. I hear them every morning. And the critters are as well. I wonder, can we as human beings, can we dare to gather sticks up around us and put them in a circle, in a ritual circle, so that we can sit in the middle and listen? Can we do that? Can we dare to be enchanted once again? We have so much to learn. I believe that if we become enchanted again with nature, it will be contagious. It is possible for the love of nature to bloom into respect for our partners on this earth. If we can do this and get everyone involved, I believe this would be holy work. I believe our future depends on this, regardless of our political or religious or cultural persuasion. We all need to become enchanted and lift up our partner in this world, nature. And dare we actually believe that we might instead of being a partner with and equal with, we might actually be a part of nature. If we change this perspective, if we could become enchanted again and started preaching that everywhere, I believe we might actually save this planet. I invite you to become enchanted, but I also invite you to offer up prayers as the Ute Native Americans from the Southwest North America have done. I offer this to you. You can soft focus if you want to as I offer these words. Earth, teach me stillness as the grasses are stilled with light. Earth, teach me suffering as old stones suffer with memory. Earth, teach me caring as parents who secure their young. Earth, teach me courage as a tree which stands all alone. Earth, teach me limitation as the ant which crawls upon the ground. Earth, teach me freedom as the eagle which soars in the sky. Earth, teach me resignation as the seed which rises in the spring. Earth, teach me to forget myself as the melted snow forgets its life. And earth, teach me to remember kindness as dry fields weep with rain. My friends, blessed be. Amen, and happy Earth Day.
We are a beloved community in the making, and one way we help ourselves in the world is by sharing our monetary resources. While some of us may be scraping by financially, know that you have already made a wonderful contribution to this community just by being here. And some of us may be in a place where you are able to challenge yourself to give more. In April, we are sharing our offering plate with the Friends of the Lower Olentangy Watershed, FLOW. FLOW was formed in 1997 to keep the Olentangy River and its tributaries clean and safe for all to enjoy through public education, volunteer activities, and coordination with local decision makers. FLOW also partnered with First UU to build a rain garden on Weisheimer to demonstrate that protecting our rivers can be both functional and beautiful. Thank you for supporting our local river and environment. You can contribute in person by putting cash or a check in the offering plate, or by visiting the jam table in Beach Hall during coffee hour to make a card payment. You can donate online by using our text to give number, scanning the QR code, or visiting firstuucolumbus.org/donate. Thank you for your generosity.
To begin, thank you also. Beautiful. To begin our time of community caring, I offer words from Nancy Wood. My help is in the mountain, where I take myself to heal the earthly wounds that people give me. I find a rock with sun on it and a stream where the water runs gentle and the trees, which one by one give me company. So I must stay for a long time until I have grown from the rock. And the stream is running through me, and I cannot tell myself from one tall tree. Then I know that nothing touches me, nor makes me run away. My help is in the mountain that I take away with me. Before we read our caring cards and share our joys and sorrows, I invite you to join me in lifting up all those at war and in conflict. May they find peace. Our Jewish friends who just celebrated Passover and our Muslim friends who continue fasting for Ramadan. And the well-being of our planet and all beings who live together upon it, that we may rediscover how to share our home with one another, that all may flourish. And now I'd like to invite this morning's pastoral listeners up to help us share the joys and sorrows that you submitted this morning. So first, I'll share about our caring cards. Condolences we're sending to Jack and Sheila Holdford and their family upon the death of Jack's father, Arthur, who passed away on April 21st. Jack was able to be with his father and was holding his hand as he passed away. And happy birthday to Julian Larson, who is celebrating his 87th birthday on Tuesday, April 26th. We encourage you to visit the caring table in Beach Hall after the service to sign these caring cards, whether or not you know the people. This long-time tradition of signing cards is an important outreach to members and friends. Even if there are no cards to sign, you can stop and say hello to our volunteers any week. And now, we'll share what you've sent in this morning.
I'm Sylvia Howe, a member of this congregation, and this is Sharon Hammersley. We are this morning's pastoral listeners. Linda O. is asking for prayers and thoughts for her friend Catherine B. Please remember my cousin's daughter in your thoughts and prayers. She's having surgery for cancer on Wednesday. This is from Susan and David C. Our daughter and her family are quarantining since our 2-year-old granddaughter has COVID. She is one of 5 kids in her preschool that has tested positive. We send our heartfelt thoughts and prayers to them. This is from Jasper F., a celebratory joy. This is for Julian R. Congratulations to Julian for graduating from OSU with a bachelor's in linguistics. Congratulations, Julian. And from Kelly A., it's from herself, their self. This is my first time attending a UU service. They're online, and they're struggling. They ask for our thoughts and prayers and caring concerns. So be it. May we hold these joys and sorrows and all those yet unspoken gently in our hearts. Amen.
As I ring our temple bell, I invite you into a moment of silent meditation, prayer, or stillness. I'll ring it a second time as we resume our service.
Our closing words before the flower ceremony are written by Mary Oliver. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about your despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and in the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting over and over, announcing your place in the family of things.
Thank you, Bob. And I just want to thank Bob especially, and Rob Payne as well, and Amanda for being readers and taking part in the service this morning. If you are interested in being a reader or help with the worship team plan services, please see Sue Flanlacher. Sue? We're working on plans for summer, so see Sue and we'll be glad to talk with you. I invite our children to come in. They are coming back to help us with the flower ceremony. Aha, the excitement begins. I invite them to sit with their families as we do a little bit of history, and then our children will help distribute the flowers in just a moment. The history of the flower ceremony, which we're about to celebrate, originated in 1923 by Dr. Norbert Čapek, founder of modern Unitarian movement in Czechoslovakia. On the last Sunday before the summer recess of the Unitarian Church in Prague, all the children and adults participated in this colorful ritual, which gives concrete expression to the humanity-affirming principles of our liberal faith. When the Nazis took control of Prague in 1940, they found Dr. Čapek's gospel of inherent worth and beauty of every human being, as Nazi court records show, too dangerous to the Reich for Čapek to be allowed to live. Dr. Čapek was sent to Dachau, where he was killed the next year during a Nazi medical experiment. This gentle man experienced and suffered such a cruel death, but his message of human hope and the decency human hope and decency lives on through this flower ceremony, which is widely celebrated by our Unitarian Universalist congregations today. It is a noble and meaning-filled ritual that we are about to recreate, remembering Dr. Chopek's principles and dreams for which he died.
Whenever Dr. Čapek conducted his flower communion in Prague, he would say this proverb as he consecrated the flowers. Infinite Spirit of life, we ask thy blessing on these thy messengers of fellowship and love. May they remind us, amid diversities of knowledge and of gifts, to be one in desire and affection, and devotion to thy holy will. May they also remind us of the value of comradeship, of doing and sharing alike. May we cherish friendship as one of thy most precious gifts. May we not let awareness of one another's talents discourage us or sully our relationship, but may we realize that whatever we can do, great or small, the efforts of all of us are needed to do thy work in this world.
Our children are now invited forward to help hand out the flowers, and I invite everyone else to remain seated so our children can find us as we sing Rising Green. We will sing all 4 verses. It is 1068 in your teal hymn book. The words will also be on screen. Let us sing and receive our flowers.
My blood doth rise in the roots of yon oak, her sap doth run in my veins, boundless my soul like the open sky, where the stars forever have lain. Where the stars forever have lain. My hands hold the weavings of time without end, my sight as deep as the sea. Beating my heart sounds the measures of old, that of love's eternity. That of love, that of love, that of love's eternity. I feel the tides as they answer the moon, rushing on a far distant sand. Winging my song is the wind of my breast, and my love blows over the land. And my love, and my love, and my love blows over the land. My foot carries days of the old into new. Our dreaming shows us the way. Wondrous our faith settles deep in the earth, rising green to bring a new day. Rising green, rising green, rising green to bring a new day.
What a wonderful ceremony. And the beauty and the chaos and the love is all around. If you are online, I hope you have flowers too, flowers nearby. Take time to enjoy them today. All of us, take time to enjoy. I also invite you, if you're online, to bring your chalice closer so that we can extinguish our chalice together. After the service, I invite online folks to join our Zoom coffee hour, which will be hosted by Rainbow Connections. Just click the link that was sent in this morning's email. And if you are in person, we will have coffee hour in Beach Hall. We have all the tables set up, carrying cards to sign, and we have a birthday cake for Bob Letcher. Bob? And just so you know, a little bit later in the church year, we will celebrate after the service. I think it's one Sunday in June. It's coming up. We'll let you know. We're going to celebrate everybody who had a birthday during the pandemic. But today it's Bob's birthday. I invite you in speaking our vision statement together as we extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of vision. As we go forth, let us heal and transform ourselves and our world through reason and love. Our chalice is extinguished. I invite you to remain seated as our chalice choir sings our benediction, and then Nathan plays our prelude. We look forward to seeing everyone online or in person in coffee hour. My friends, happy Earth Day.
pretty.